here today with Charlie and Debbie Chivers, who are directors of Special Touch Ministries. And you are friends, known each other a long time, excited about what God has called you to do. So, yes, Charlie, tell us a little bit about Special Touch for anybody who is not yet aware.
Oh my goodness, well, Special Touch is over 38 years old. Started right here in the district, serving a totally marginalized people group. Nearly forgotten by the church, not intentionally, but only because we don't know best practices. How do we best serve, reach, touch a family that struggles, with the day-to-day human struggle of disability? And then how do we justify that to our healing doctrines and all the other things, and faith and all of that? So there's lots of issues and concerns in those families. The church is the place where all of those can be resolved just by being compassionate. I love the definition of the word compassion. That's really what Special Touch is compassion ministry. The definition of the word compassion is to suffer with. And that's one thing that we haven't done real well, actually, with this particular people group. We haven't suffered well with them. And all that means is bearing their burdens, trying to understand what it's like to come to church with a child who has autism, that nobody understands the display of his autistic symptoms. People look at the child as being a naughty little boy or a naughty little girl. That's not the case whatsoever. How do we fit them into the beautiful picture of the church without messing it up? That's the biggest thing. It's all through compassion.
It's beautiful, and you have many camps, both in the U.S. and in other parts of the world. How many camps are taking place now?
Well, that's actually Debbie's area. She is the National Summer Getaway Coordinator.
So we're looking at 10 different districts, and that keeps us kind of busy through the summer, and it spills over a little bit into the spring, a little bit into the fall. We're setting up programming in Brazil. We've got a good outreach happening in Ukraine. That's very exciting. But I am going to answer a question that you haven't asked me yet, because I'm excited about it, which is the new start here in Waupaca for the Center for the Blind. And headquarters has asked Special Touch to absorb it. We've absorbed it as much as we can. It's a very large piece to absorb, but we opened up the information that we needed somebody to run the Center for the Blind. That's not our expertise. You need somebody that knows what they're doing. We're going to have to communicate in Braille, so we need somebody that's proficient in Braille. We put that out on our website. 3 days later, I got a resume from a girl who is absolutely perfect for this position. Her husband was excited for her to send us her resume. She said, "But what if they hire me?" And he said, "If that's where God wants us, that's where we're going to go." They moved in about
a month ago.
About a month ago, and we're already up and running as much as we can be. So if there are people if there are churches that have people that are visually impaired or blind, contact us.
7 million blind people in America. And again, our churches are so visually oriented. You look at our media on Sunday morning, and people who are blind are left out of that as well. So we're here to support the churches in bringing evangelism to that people group. We want to include them in our churches. Along with that, there's just a lot of understanding that has to happen. It's going to take some time. The relaunch, it's a total re-strategizing the whole concept of ministry to the blind. We want to be relevant with today's technology. We also want to be largely evangelistic, so that means we are going to be targeting blind people to bring them into faith. We need strategy for that. Along with all that, we have to build a building. And because we have Braille writers that have to be set up and calibrated and operated, we have audio books that have to be published and produced, so we need a place to do that. U.S. Missions is helping us with that, but we do need support in regard to those kinds of expenses as well. To build a whole brand new building right here in Waupaca to house the National Center for the Blind will be vital.
Well, I'm very excited about what God is doing in you, through you, on behalf of people He dearly loves. Well, a documentary has been prepared talking about Special
Yes.
Touch Ministries. Can you tell us a little bit about that documentary and where it may be aired?
Well, there's a television series called Answering the Call. And what this particular television series does is highlights ministries all across America that perhaps are not widely known, or some are very well known. Basically what it does is it gets the word out to what those ministries are doing. We are going to be seeing our documentary aired the end of this month, and the dates and television networks on DirecTV will be, I think, you're going to be able to make those available on the district website. So
Correct.
just to be aware of that, coming up at the end of October. I think the 22nd is the first airing, and I think you'll find it to be quite interesting as to what God is doing with Special Touch all across America.
Well, thank you, Charlie and Debbie, for sharing with us today, and certainly for you, our credential holders, to avail yourself to their ministry and what God wants to do, and for people in your community who have these needs.